We're currently stepping into one of the most unique and strangest real estate markets that we've ever really seen, not just in the GTA in Ontario, but more or less throughout Canada. The majority of indicators are showing that we are transitioning into a balanced market and potentially even a buyer's market as we approach the summertime. But I'm here to tell you that it is likely going to remain a seller's market for the foreseeable future in terms of who holds the power in this new real estate landscape. A lot of buyers are hearing the news that there is a ton of new inventory coming to the market and that offer presentation dates are falling through. And they're taking this news as an impression that within the next couple weeks is the time to get a deal on a property, or that they can somehow get a 5-figure or even 6-figure discount on a property that a couple weeks ago would have sold in multiples. And although there are deals to be found in any type of market, that's just not the current situation in this transitioning market that we're heading into. Sellers still have a lot of power, sellers still have a lot of influence, and at the end of the day, sellers have the homes and the buyers do not. It's almost tough to comprehend or even grasp the fact of just how much equity sellers and homeowners have built up in the last 2.5 years. Some people bought a property for $500,000, which is now worth $1 million. Whereas in the past, you could have purchased a home for $300,000, and over the course of 10 years, it only went up $40,000 in value. In 2.5 years, it's almost doubled. Do you know how many millionaires have been made just through real estate appreciating in this time? For every $10,000 that a property appreciated in the past 1.5 to 2 years because of everything that's been going on, that's 10,000 reasons that a seller will use to tell you, I'm not going to sell my property till I get the price that I want. That's why this is such an interesting market that we are heading into, in my opinion, because the basic rules of supply and demand that have held true for decades in real estate aren't going to be acting like they usually do, because the supply has gathered and collectively said, no, we're not going to sell for the price that you want, we're going to sell for the price that we want. So even if demand continues to fall off because of rising interest rates, in my opinion, I don't think we're going to see a downshift in prices for the next 6 to 12 months, just because so many sellers, the majority of sellers now and in the future, are in the really beneficial position where they don't need to sell, they want to sell. A very small portion of all sellers throughout Canada are in a position or are going to feel the financial burden of the fact that we switched from a seller's market to a buyer's market, but they can likely still afford to hold on to the property. So if it takes 90 days, 6 months, a year to 2 years to now achieve, or for the market to appreciate and go back to that all-time high that we are at, that's just how long these sellers are going to wait. And that again comes back down to the fact that sellers still have a lot of power and a lot of influence in the market. That's why I'm calling it still a seller's market, but more or less it is balanced. You as a buyer do have more opportunities, but be prepared to experience as a buyer. Be prepared for properties to be listed at $699. When you say, hey, we're going to send you an offer for $800, $850, you're going to say, no, we want $1 million. You'd be like, well, you don't have any offers. Why would I send you an offer for $1 million? Well, because we're not going to take a penny less. So either give us the offer for $1 million or go find somewhere else to live. As a buyer, you need to analyze and decide whether you are going to wait or you're going to take action. Are you going to bet on the fact that the market or prices will decrease in the next 6 to 12 months? Or are you going to take action? And are you going to get your ducks in a row, take advantage of this balanced situation, have contingencies in your offer? Go look at 10 different properties before making a decision. Go view a property 2 or 3 times before having to put an offer, because it was like one viewing for 15 minutes. Here you go, $1.1 million firm offer. You get accepted. Great, like it's done. There's no backing out of it. Are you going to take advantage of this balanced situation? And how I always suggest or advise, have a long-term perspective in mind, because if you're buying on a short term between 2 to 3 years, you're likely to lose. I mean, you're better off just leasing or renting and waiting to see what the market does. But if you're willing to have a long-term investment strategy in mind, yes, even though you might feel like you're buying at the top of the market, there's a good probability, don't quote me on it, I mean, assuming the economy remains stable, but there's a good probability that your asset, your real estate asset, will be worth more than what you paid for it today. And I'll continue to say it again and again for every single video. It comes down to your personal situation, right? If you are just tired of where you're living now and you need to get out and buy something, then go and do it. Why would you continue suffering living where you're living? Maybe your family is expanding. Maybe there's a baby on the way. Then it's still a good time to, it's the best time to go and actually buy a property as opposed to a couple weeks ago. If you're in a situation where maybe your landlord has hinted at the fact that they might consider selling, or a family member is moving in and you are leasing that unit, you don't know for sure whether in the next 6 months you have a guaranteed place to stay, then maybe waiting for too long isn't the right move. Or sit down and decide how much time is enough for you to wait before then deciding, do you continue waiting or do you take action? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comments. Do you think sellers have this power? Do you think they're going to continue holding on to this power by saying, hey, We have houses, you don't. Unless you're willing to pay the price that we want, we're not gonna sell them to you. Or do you think sooner than 6 months, sellers are gonna feel that pressure and say, well, prices have gone down, we missed the top of the market, it is what it is, we're gonna sell, here's our property, and we're just gonna move on with our lives? Let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next video.